Hello, Wolfpack. I want to start zoomed out today because we usually start zoomed in. We will zoom in soon. And the whole premise of this video is to get an idea of where we need to be accumulating Bitcoin in the long run, and the current chop zone we're seeing on Bitcoin, and some of the new progression we've made in that area. Now, this is just a regular Bitcoin update. We're going to be updating Bitcoin, for basically daily until this correction is over, or until we crash, obviously. So there's two kind of scenarios there that people would want to play out. It's either we see a dead cat bounce / recovery, or we crash, right? That's how long we're going to be covering this for. So until that happens, we're going to be doing daily updates on Bitcoin. But what we're seeing here on the larger scale, and I want to bring up the larger scale quickly because I've talked about a lot, and I'll just talk about it again, literally just 30 seconds, right? What usually happens in relation to the 200-week SMA and the 50-week SMA. The 50-week is the red line, the 200 is the green line, all right? So usually what happens, which we've seen in 2013, 2018, and 2019, is we come down from the bull market highs, bounce off the 50-week, and drop below, bottom out on the 200, and then head upwards, okay? Same thing happened in 2017. Okay, come down, bounce off the 50, drop below, bottom out on the 200, come back above, right? And in 2019, in this mid-bear market, bull market, or bull phase we had, we came up, we bounced off the 50-week, dropped down and bottomed out on the 200, okay? What you'll also notice, if we remove all of this and look at it from a different perspective, and you want to get an idea of, when you should be accumulating Bitcoin, right? Please excuse all this writing I have here, it's from a previous video. But if you want to know where you should be buying Bitcoin on a longer scale, so if you're keeping into account years and years and years, and you're waiting for the best possible place you can possibly buy Bitcoin, the best place to buy Bitcoin, historically speaking, and in terms of technical analysis, is on the 200-week SMA, okay? You've seen that it wasn't actually around back here, but if it was around, we would have tested it. According to calculations I've done previously here, it wasn't around though, so it's hard to say that's actually going to be correct, but it only actually came into play in the market in mid-2014. So it's been around for around 7 years, right? And when we test the 200-week SMA, we've never actually gone below it. We've never closed a weekly candle below the 200-week SMA. And so that obviously means that when we are testing the 200-week SMA, that is the best place you can possibly buy Bitcoin in your entire, your entire life. Because we've also, what you'll notice, we've also never actually gone below where we tested the 200-week SMA, right? So we tested it here in 2015 at around 220 or 200 USD. We never went below that point again. We tested it here in 2019 at around 3,000. We never gone below that point again. At the COVID drop, 5,000. We've never gone below that point again. And when we test it next time, which will happen, it's inevitable, and whether that be at 20, 25K, 35K, that will be an indication that we will never go below that point again in Bitcoin's lifespan, right? In the history of Bitcoin, obviously assuming everything goes to plan and Bitcoin does continue growing, which I say it will. So if you're waiting for the best possible entry you're going to get on Bitcoin, your best bet is actually waiting until we come down to the 20-week SMA, because even if Bitcoin goes up to 100K, even if it goes to 150K, 200K, the chances are the 200-week SMA is not going to be higher than current prices by the time we come back down to retest it, okay? That's just the reality of the situation. And the reason why I don't believe that we're going to come down to 20K on Bitcoin again, as few people have started saying 20K during this correction. It's obvious to see why they'd say that, right? It's obviously, a resistance support flip of the all-time high made in 2017, but it doesn't make sense to me because the 200-week SMA is quite clearly moving above 20K, and by the time we get down there, it will be above 20K, and it will be at least probably 25K at the very minimum. So I don't think a test of 20K is likely unless it's a very long, deep wick downwards, and even saying that, we've never historically tested the previous all-time high, so I don't think it's going to happen. But the point is, the 200-week SMA is the best possible place you can buy Bitcoin, and as I've said before, we usually bounce off the 50-week. Okay, we usually do that, and so right now we should be bouncing off the 50-week. We should be seeing a dead cat bounce in this region. I'm not going to rely on it though. I'm just going to wait, because right now, and this is the main part of the video I want to get into, we are in a chop zone. Okay, let's actually go back to the Coinbase chart. We are in a chop zone on Bitcoin, which means we are in an area in which it is very hard to determine which argument is going to come out on top. Now, I will say, first and foremost, that it still is a very strong downwards trend. We are yet to make a higher high. Look at these highs here. Lower, 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 lower. This one's lower, 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 right? We are yet to make one singular higher high in this whole correction since around November 10th, right? One meaningful all-time high, higher high since November 10th. And so, it's pretty clear the downwards trend is very strong. And one of the most fundamental rules of investing is invest with the trend until it ends, okay? And I feel like a lot of people are kind of forgetting that right now. Well, what you could say about the current kind of price movement and the very recent price movement on Bitcoin is that we are actually riding the symmetrical triangle here. We're riding the top of the symmetrical triangle that we previously drawn, right? This solid pink line triangle. We're actually riding the top of that, you can see, and we're retesting. And so the next logical move would be a move to the upside and breaking this white trend line. Now, there's a lot of trend lines here, and I'll zoom out and give you a look at what they actually all are. But what I would say as well is that if we delete this triangle, what we can actually do is we can draw another trend line. I know this might get confusing here, but just bear with me. We could draw another trend line between the highs here, and we'll make this line a certain color so you can see. Not counting the wicks, we can just count the candle closes, and we'll make this 4 width, and we'll make it, say, yellow, right? Bright yellow, and we'll turn this one to white. Okay, so this bright yellow line is our current resistance line from what I'm seeing. Yes, you could say that triangle that I just had up there was the most important, and we're bouncing off of that right now here. But I would say that we're yet to make a high yet, and so in order to make a high, we need to break this uptrend, this downtrending level of resistance in the very short term. Even this, though, in my opinion, would not be a real reason for a strong move upwards on Bitcoin. I still think there is so much resistance, but this is the immediate resistance. So breaking that as of right now on this current candle would be a break of 49.1k and closing above it, right? Because we don't care about wicks, we want closes. This is the 4-hourly chart. So that is what we're looking at currently. This yellow resistance line is definitely the most important thing we're looking at on Bitcoin for sure. Right? I guess what you could say is if we do, in fact, bottom out here on this green current candle and start heading upwards, that could be seen as a higher low, which, again, we haven't been doing much of. We had a higher low here, but it ultimately resulted in nothing, right? Higher lows are indications that we're going to be seeing higher highs. We're yet to have many higher lows, and we're also yet to have a single higher high. So the reason why I'm not confident of buying Bitcoin right now, even though I think a dead cut bounce is very, very possible, right? Due to the fact that we're on the 50-week SMA. I've said this for a while. A dead cat bounce from the 50-week SMA is very possible. In fact, some could say it's slightly more likely. I'm not going to be buying Bitcoin until we see confirmation, because doing that would ignore the most fundamental principle of investing, which is invest with the trend until it ends, right? There's no point betting on a reversal when a reversal is yet to happen for over a month, okay? It's just simply illogical. So what we're going to be seeing here, and what we're going to do actually on Bitcoin, is what we're going to do is we're going to draw a rectangle over this entire region, right? And this is what we're going to call, and we can in fact we can take this rectangle all the way down to 42k where that wick was. This red box here that we'll zoom out on the daily chart is what we're going to call the chop zone on Bitcoin, right? That is the chop zone on Bitcoin. That is an area in which Bitcoin is, basically not very smart or not very wise to touch. Okay, you can see that once we break above this chop zone, we will have, actually broken above every single one of these white trend lines that I've drawn on the charts, which all match up to fundamental resistance and support zones. And we can go to the logarithmic scale here, but the linear scale to make it a little bit more simple. But breaking above this chop zone would take us above most of these trend lines. Actually, it wouldn't take us above this uptrending level of support that we're going to make yellow right now, so you guys can see it, because this is the most fundamental line. This yellow uptrending level of support that I've just made yellow is actually the most fundamental one. You remember that even the current bulls, even everyone who says Bitcoin's going to go up from now, would have said back a month ago, if we lose 53k, that would put us in bear market territory. We lost 53k, and obviously they didn't go bearish. They just flipped and started drawing new lines, okay? So that uptrending level of support, that uptrending yellow line, is the most important line we need to take back, not only because it's an uptrending yellow line, and not only for support reasons, but also due to the fact that we have the bull market support band in that region. And the bull market support band, which consists of the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA, is basically one of the strongest support and resistance zones we have in technical analysis. And the fact that that is lurking right now at around 52.5k, just below the uptrending level of yellow support, means that if we flip that uptrending yellow level of support, this uptrending yellow line, that would put us back into bull market territory for Bitcoin, okay? Now, as I've said previously, if you're waiting for complete 100%, or nothing's 100%, but 99% confirmation of a bull market, you'd actually be waiting for 61k, because 61k would flip this entire region, okay? But if you're a little bit more aggressive and you're waiting for at least some confirmation, you want to be breaking out of this red square, you want to be breaking above the bull market support band, and you want to be breaking the uptrending yellow line of support, which would actually put us at current, right now at 54k, right? That is how far away we are for actually creating some sort of meaningful progress on Bitcoin. Right now, nothing has happened. We're simply just in a strong downtrend. 54K is a long way away, right? It's like 15%, maybe even more away. And a lot of people would say, I don't want to wait that long. I want to get in now. Well, if you get in now, what I will say to you is that you're putting yourself in a massive, in a very, very risky position. Feel free to buy now, okay? Feel free to buy now with tight stop losses if you understand the fact you're in a risky position inherently. But right now, we are in a chop zone for Bitcoin well and truly. And what I think is playing out is at least something like this from May to July we saw, right? A long, kind of lengthy, kind of depressing, just downwards chop, okay? And then ultimately we broke to the upside. We might be seeing something like that, where we just chop downwards for a while. It's just really sad and depressing, and everyone gets bearish, and everyone gets flushed out, and then we finally head upwards. Or, to be honest, we might be seeing a dead cat bounce right now, like I've said, or we could just be seeing a depletion into a full bear market, right, for Bitcoin. Now, not like that, obviously. It's not just going to go straight down. Don't be ridiculous. But, what I would say is that it's either right now dead cat bounce, or we're going to go down to 42K before we see that dead cat bounce. Those are the two scenarios I'm seeing for Bitcoin. I'm not seeing all-time highs for Bitcoin right now. My opinion on that will be invalidated, and I will change my opinion on that once we start breaking critical support, which we have not been doing, resistance, which we have not been doing at all, right? Namely, this uptrending yellow line or 61K. Break the uptrending yellow line at 54K currently, then I will change my mind. But right now, there is simply no reason to change my mind at all. We are, thankfully for the bulls, seeing some early signs of recovery, okay? We have a bullish MACD cross that is kind of trying to occur, but it's not really fully occurred yet because we've had a red candle recently. And we have, quite a clear bullish divergence forming here on Bitcoin. But none of that is any reason for an immediate reversal. I mean, what you can see here is we had a bullish MACD cross on May 30th, right, which was here, but we just continued the downwards trend. Yeah, we pumped up a little bit to 40K, but we just continued the downwards trend, right, for another month and a half. We also had bullish divergence starting here from May 19th, but we continued the downwards trend for another 2 months, okay? So I don't think the bullish argument right now, it makes sense, because all of the bullish argument is based on oscillators, and oscillators historically are lagging indicators, or not lagging indicators, but they don't predict immediate recoveries. They take time to play out, right? If you have an RSI divergence, that doesn't mean it's going to play out tomorrow. It means that it's going to play out eventually. It will happen, but, not really sure when, right? You can't be sure. You have to use other indicators in conjunction, and there aren't really any other indicators to use in conjunction with that right now besides the 50-week SMA, which is why I think it's very possible that we might bounce here, and we might bounce up the doorstep of this uptrending yellow level support, but ultimately get rejected and then head down even further, right? That's very possible. A bit of a relief rally. We've been on the downside of the Bollinger Bands. If we bring them up, hold on one second. We bring up the Bollinger Bands. We've been on the downside of the Bollinger Bands for the bottom side of the Bollinger Bands for, over a month now. So over a month, slightly over a month, probably just about a month actually. And so, usually you see some rallies, when you're on the downside for this amount of time. You can't just keep heading downwards. But again, that's just another speculation, right? And that's what the bulls are using right now. It's like, well, we can't just go down forever, okay? Obviously, we can't go down forever, but there's no actual clear way currently to pinpoint when that reversal will happen, right? And I'm telling you right now, a reversal is not relevant at all until we take this uptrending level of support at 54K currently. By the time we get there, it'll probably be 55 or 56K. So what you can imagine, and what I can imagine in my head, is a scenario playing out where Bitcoin bounces, it goes up to around 55K. It's ultimately unable to get past this uptrending level of support, but since it's at 55K from previously 42, everyone gets bullish again because they think it's going to go to new all-time highs. Everyone buys in, and eventually the same scenario happens where we just get flushed out by the manipulation, and we just go further down, right? That is the most possible scenario in my opinion right now. Now, in order for a bull market to be continued, I've already told you what that needs to be. It needs to be 55K currently, 54K, this uptrending level of support, but in order for a full bull market to be healthy and remain healthy, what we needed to have done was hold this uptrending level of support back here, right, before we drop down below it. If we held 53K back on December 4th, before that massive drop, that would have, nothing would have been wrong. The structure still would have remained. And even though we haven't made a lower low yet on a macro scale, we've still broken the uptrend, right? The uptrend that most people were relying on. And not only have we broken it, right? Not only have we broken the uptrend, but we've also come back up from the downside in this wick here, retested the bottom of it, and headed further down, right? So what I can compare this to, right, is say you have a triangular formation. I'm going to draw it here. You have a triangular formation on any asset, say Bitcoin, for example. You're bouncing within it. you break to the upside, and you come down and retest it and then head further up. Most people will say that is bullish. And so I would say to that, it is the same thing from a downside, right? If we broke this triangle, let's delete this line. If we were headed down into it, we broke to the downside, we came back and we retested and then rejected and went further down. That is very, very bearish, and that is exactly what we've done on Bitcoin, right? So I'm just reminding you, don't get chopped up. The zone right now is quite clearly a very risky place to put any type of investment. Don't get chopped up, wait for clear confirmation. And I don't mean confirmation that we bounce up to 50K again, we bounce up to 52K. I mean confirmation at least that we break this uptrending level of support and close above it, and that would be 54K currently. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.